and then you want to
Again, wash it.
again wash this 3 times. But this time when you I would have waited a little longer. I would have usually what I do is I wait 3 minutes between wash. First wash, as soon as you think you can take it out, because that's just high concentration odor, right? Second wash put in, you want to wait for 3 minutes. 3 washes, 12 minutes, and then in 15 minutes it'll be on here running. So that's always the time frame.
But the odor, there's no odor inside. Like the odor is gas.
Just water soluble.
But does it get to the water through, like it needs to,
Yes.
it should, okay.
Yeah, it's water soluble. It's like actually, it's ketone. It's all, yeah.
No, but I mean, does it solve into the water through the gas phase that it gets to, that's because, okay, that depends on the gas pressure also, not only if it's soluble.
Just dissolve into the worms.
Okay.
The body fluid, that's how they detect it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good point.
Yeah, and a lot of time I feel like, you know, when they're exposed to high concentration odor, where they're desensitized, there's a component of a neuronal component. The other component is these odor is still in them.
Yeah.
It's escaping. It's a physical adaptation on top of a neuronal adaptation, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you want to set up a timer for 3 minutes between each wash and keep the step consistent, because
So the first wash is just immediately, and then 3 minutes each, and
yeah, or immediately, more like in 30 seconds. You want to wait until the worms sink, right? Then 3
yeah. I mean,
minutes.
the 30-second was what would probably take me to wash the second one, so then I can then go back to the first one and wash it, and then.
I mean, the first round, right? You remove them, and the first actual wash you put in is stay for 3 minutes, and then you take them out. I'm not gonna wait for 3 minutes, but
But then, so 3 minutes on top of the first wash, or three washes on top of the first wash, or just the first wash, and then 2 additional ones after 3 minutes each.
well, the first thing when you wash off the plate, I don't consider it a wash,
Right.
because you actually get all the
Right.
dirty stuff, right? So then you do 3 clear washes.
Okay, 3 clear ones, and the
Yeah.
first one, just wanted to make sure, because it's not.
Right.
Sometimes it can be ambiguous, this numbering of the washes.
And after you put, every time after you put the clear wash, you wait for 3 minutes until you do the next step of removal. Right, so that's roughly about 10 minutes. Plus minus other stuff would be like roughly 12 minutes. And when you actually get the worm out here ready to go, roughly 15 minutes. Yeah. So I'm gonna pretend that I've done, this is the last wash. So now we can take these off. Now here comes the sort of skill part, where you got to work a little faster for everything to be in sync, which in the beginning is a little bit hectic. So I'll start with control. Remove the fluid. Just remove like very little fluid like that. The worms, and you want to drop the half in the center of this one, half on the center of this one, and you want to tilt the plates 1, 2, evenly distribute as a line. 1, 2. Because otherwise you will have the same problem. The worm's going to be there in a puddle for a while. As soon as that's done,
Why do you open the second one as well?
because I'm going to do that. This.
Okay, right. Yeah, sorry.
Shoot, I completely messed up the order. I'm sorry, guys. No, actually, that's not, okay. So this is how we used to do it. At this stage, you would. That's good. So you put on the odor, then you fill the Kim wipe like this with a corner, and you dab a little. You dab to remove any excessive fluid. Right. And that's ready. You flipped over, bam. That experiment is running. Then you do the next one. Notice I'm double dipping, but I'm starting with control and then going to the odor.
But then you're diluting it, the odor, further with whatever is left in the dip.
With insignificant amount, right?
It could up to 2 times, I guess.
How? No, this is just alcohol. This is alcohol plus a little odor.
Right, but when you dip, when there's, you put a half a drop here, you put like, how much is it? How
1
much
microliter here.
1 microliter here. Ah, you put 1 microliter.
So I put all that 1 microliter there. There's
you put
nothing
the entire
in
thing.
it.
There's nothing in. Okay,
Yeah.
because
you
if there
can
was,
you can feel free to change the tip and do that.
no,
That's
if there
fine,
if they were empty, then it doesn't dilute it. But if there was something left in the tip, then it would have diluted
Right.
this one.
Yeah. So then you flip like that. So you notice that one is pointing that way, one's pointing this way. Just to account for environmental factors where if the wind is blowing one way, you actually notice the difference.
Okay,
You will
that's what. This
somehow
is why
you notice always the top plate that chemotax better than the bottom plate. That could be because all the wind is blowing this way. Right?
But you always
because it's
take out
blowing
the steam.
odor towards it now that, and this one is blowing odor. Sorry, if your top one always chemotax better, that means the source is coming from here, being blown to the worm, where the source is blowing out here.
Yeah.
Right?
No, I get that,
So
but why not just, I don't know, put like a whatever dome on top of it to block the wind, or
You can, but in that case where you have local accumulation of odors around, so you have a baseline accumulation, right? I can't tell you exactly which one's better and exactly what's happening, but that's kind of,
you can put it on a really slowly rotating one.
yeah. Or if you have one of those, the
Which is
breadboard
actually-
and wind coming down like that, fine. Yeah.
Which is actually not a bad idea. I mean, if they
It's
don't.
not, yeah. But I'm telling you, this works.
So after that, you take the average of these two always, or
Yeah. And if there's a big difference between the top and bottom, I know something's off that day, and I'm gonna not eat. I'm gonna stop and come back and do experiment a different day. Right? And if I don't notice a big difference between the top and bottom, great. And I can trust all my. I'm more likely to trust my subsequent experiments. This
Yeah.
is kind of just your sort of
So-
your safekeeping sanity checks. Right? See, the reason,
did you put azide also here?
yeah, azides are here.
Okay.
Here.
Don't touch it, you'll get
See,
sterilized.
we used to do things like this. Like, we don't do the tilting. We just dab like that after you add the odor.
Okay.
But I start doing is tilting this way. The worms less likely to collide in the early phase.
Mhm.
Because if you dab here now, everything just tend to clump. They always tend to like clump to each other. If you do this, sometimes you don't eat a dab after you put the odor, and also they start less likely to clump. You would think probably is more.
If you I mean, if you tilt it too much, then the worms can evaporate if they're spread too much.
Right, you can. If you put a big drop in the beginning and you tilt it, it can go all the way to the edge.
And then the worms evaporate, obviously.
Then yeah, they dry out. Well, whoops, wrong. Okay, I gotta stop. It's hard to talk and do it.
Sorry.
Right.
Especially when you're talking bullshit. That's
Right. And you see how there's still a little puddle here, so I would dab really gently, just to because if you dab too hard, you can actually press the worm in the agar, dry them out, they would die. You just kind of really touch it gently.
But how important is it that you dry it properly? Because it can dry right there when it's just running.
It is very important in my opinion because everything is dynamic here. the odor you just put on starting to spread and establish a gradient, right? And that gradient will first increase over time and then decrease. First the odor start coming out, gradients being established, and later the chemical is gone. So you want them to be relatively fast to start chemotaxing. If you wait half an hour, the odor's not there anymore.
So you're saying they will only start the behavior after they had dried out?
Yes, absolutely. Because if they're water-bound animal. If they're trapped in that drop, they're not going anywhere until it's dry.
So that's okay. That's something that I wasn't like. I was thinking that they can just release themselves from the bubble and.
This was the wrong way, but anyway. Yeah. So that's it.
Okay.
Your control, your this.
And usually this is 30 to 60 minutes, or how much?
60 minutes.
And then you just.
They should start chemotaxing right away, and they should be at the odor. Majority of them should get to the odor, especially this like in 15 minutes.
So yeah. So if you want to. Yeah, I need to think of some adaptations for this because unless, like, we're done, right?
Yeah. Well, this is probably not the best place to keep these.
Yeah.
Right. So either put a bin here, if you think the temperature is okay. But usually I do all this step with the chemotaxis adding. I actually usually do it in here. Like this is another little bench. That's why I like to keep the training on that side. And I set up all my chemotax here. As soon as I set up a plate, I put it on here. I set up a second plate. I put on here, press recording, set up a third plate, recording, and they are all recording at the end.
So why do you record them if you use them in relation to say with ASO?
Because it's actually make that easier. Make the recording easier. If I'm looking at the dynamic of the worm chemotaxis before they get to the A side.
Yeah. Okay. So.
Right.
Yeah. I'm just.
So that's it for the chemotaxis part, and we can now discuss the